what advice would you have for young adults who want to pursue a career as an investment banker?
Don't be scared to make mistakes, especially when you're young. Trying new things is the most important thing. And showing somebody, if the goal is to get a job at an investment bank, I think showing somebody that you're not scared to try new things and have a story behind it, I think says a lot about that individual and that character. So don't be scared to try new things.
So I'm here today with Michael Teifeld, who is in the industry of investment banking. And today we're going to be going over three things. First of all, what it is to be an investment banker. Second of all, the path that you took to get to where you are today. And finally, some advice you would give to young adults who want to pursue a career in investment banking. So first of all, Michael, can you tell me a little bit about your job?
Sure. As you say, I'm an investment banker. Within investment banking, I am in the sales and trading part of investment banking. And within that, I have a job of selling fixed income securities to institutional clients. Sounds like a lot, but it's actually quite simple. So that's exactly what I do.
So if you were to simplify it, how would you describe it to someone?
Sure. So my job as someone who is in sales, and I actually lead a group of salespeople within my firm, is to help sell products produced by my company to various institutional clients like insurance companies, hedge funds, banks, and other types of mutual funds, things like that. So our job is to help market the products that my investment bank creates and distributes to larger firms.
So what does a typical day look like as an investment banker?
Sure. Days start very, very early. So I typically get to the office around 7 a.m. in the morning. I do a lot of reading about what happened the night before within the market, specifically the fixed income markets. I read about things that I think that might happen during the day. I analyze things. I talk to various salespeople that I work with. I talk to various types of traders that I work with. And then as the day starts, I start speaking to my clients and try to engage in different types of business.
So staying updated is really an important aspect of the career for sure.
Absolutely. Staying updated with current information, which is brought through various types of technology. I use something called a Bloomberg terminal every day. Bloomberg terminal is a really interesting type of software which takes news and sends it out to users of the Bloomberg terminal. And I take that information and I send it out to my clients, which I think is relevant for what they do every day, which is great. So it's a lot of interaction. It's a lot of important information going back and forth very, very quickly and very timely.
So what is the information that you're actually sending between clients? Can you give an example?
An example would be that my firm is trying to market a newly issued security, and my job is to go send that information out to particular clients who I think might have interest. They might have interest because of a certain maturity of that security, of a certain yield of that security, and I need to get that information to them quickly and speak to them and then send them different types of analysis of what I'm trying to sell.
But you get to decide which clients you want to send the information to?
Yes. So these are, as opposed to individual clients, which could be people, these are institutions, like I mentioned. Every institution acts differently. They have different needs. They have different reasons why they might want to buy some of the securities that I'm selling. They might have various reasons why they might want to sell the securities that I might have previously sold to them. It's a very interesting job. Part of the bond market, which is what I deal in, is just trying to get information back and forth to clients and trying to do it in a very, very quick manner. It's large amounts of securities, and our job is to make very small differences between what we buy and what we sell at.
So what do you like most about your job?
I would say the people. I talk to a lot of very interesting types of people who are highly educated, who have non-traditional, interesting backgrounds from all across the country. So I have clients who are in Florida, where I live currently. I have clients who are in the Northeast in New York. I have clients all across the Midwest, all to the West Coast. I have clients in other countries sometimes too. And within that, you are trying to conduct business, but the interesting part is getting to know these people personally. And when you have a personal connection with someone, you tend to do business with them much easier. So for that, I really enjoy the most.
That's cool. So then what inspired you to pursue a career in investment banking?
When I was younger, I read a lot. I was very interested in the markets. Like a lot of people who become interested in the markets, they might hear about stocks. So when I was younger, my thought was if I learned about stocks, I could make a lot of money. Interestingly enough, I wound up not doing any types of business in stocks or equities, and I became interested in fixed income or bonds, another way to describe it. So I think there's reading a lot. I decided that I wanted to go in that side of the markets. When I went to college, my major in college was in finance, specifically international finance, which I enjoyed a lot. I learned not just about the U.S. markets, but global markets and other aspects of business globally, with a focus on finance.
Yeah, so I know you're saying you read a lot and stuff, but did you know from a young age you wanted to be an investment banker, or was it not until you pursued college? And
it was not specifically in the investment sales and trading side of investment banking. No, I did not know when I was younger at all. That's not something that I thought I would be doing. I did think that I wanted to do something with an international business. And I went to school in Washington, D.C., and it's a very global city. And for that reason, it's one of the reasons why I chose Washington, D.C. But I became very interested in the U.S. markets when I was there. And when I stopped going to school, I initially got a job in Boston on what they call the buy side for an insurance company.
So what does that mean?
What that means is, one of the people I currently sell to right now, the type of client is an insurance company. Insurance companies buy bonds or fixed income securities. There's reasons why they do it. But for me, it was about getting a job. I just wanted to be involved in something. And as it turned out, I moved to Boston in a position as a assistant or junior trader, came about at a company called John Hancock Insurance. And that was the job that I got. And so, specifically what I'm doing now relates to my first job out of school.
So would you say that experience definitely led you to where you are today?
100%. 100%. Yeah, without a doubt.
All right, so what skills and qualities are essential for success in your field?
Within sales and trading, interpersonal skills are hugely important. So you have to have the ability to relate to various types of people. I would say you also have to be very good with numbers and be quick on your feet with numbers. So a lot of what we're doing are making quick calculations about what might make sense to a particular client. And when we actually do a trade, you have to think on your feet. And so you could do it under a lot of pressure. There's lots of money that's moving back and forth. So any mistake can cause big problems.
Yeah.
So you have to be very, very careful. And I would say over time, initially what I realized is that paying attention to detail is highly important. It probably wasn't something I was great at when I was younger, but as I've gotten older, it's a skill set that I've honed, and I've had to do it, but not by choice.
So I would imagine not everything goes perfectly as planned. So what actually happens when you make those mistakes that you're talking about?
Well, I never make a mistake, so it never happens to me. I'm joking. So I think the most important thing is to quickly recognize when there's a mistake. It's harder to make mistakes with technology these days. Back when I first started out, it was much easier. But there's ways to catch mistakes very, very quickly. I guess the biggest, most important thing is to find out very quickly before markets move around.
Definitely.
When bad things can happen.
What would you say the biggest challenge of the job is?
I think the biggest challenge is keeping up with technology.
So AI in that matter?
AI is going to be a very big determinant of the future of my business.
Is it already playing a big role?
It is. A lot of people who I sell to will use AI in determining what they want to buy. So data science is hugely important. So I would say for younger people, getting a firm understanding of data science at a young age, I think is key. But keeping up with technology and staying on top of things, you have to keep up with it. Otherwise, you are going to be aged out. So I think it's highly important to stay current, to not be scared to try new, different types of things, and not be scared of technology. You have to embrace it and use it.
So I know we're talking about technology as a challenge, but do you have any specific scenarios that come to mind when I ask you what challenges have you had to face in the industry?
Yeah, I mean, I think what people need to realize is that nothing is perfect, nothing is smooth sailing. Challenge is putting yourself in scenarios where things might not work out well, might not feel great initially, but they're learning experiences and they stay with you, whether it's consciously or unconsciously, and they make you better at who you are. So, I mean, there's always going to be challenges. Embracing those challenges actually make you better at who you are and what you do.
So while we're on the idea of challenges, are there any misconceptions of the industry that you would want to address?
I think a lot of people think that, people who work on Wall Street are hardened individuals who are cold and they've got this image of the original movie Wall Street, where
There's tons of Wall Street movies.
yeah, and I don't think it necessarily is that way. There's a lot of very good people on there who aren't just trying to hurt the people they're trying to sell things to or trying to make money off other individuals. I don't think it's necessarily like that. I think capitalism pushes people to try to make things more efficient, and that's typically how, the purpose of Wall Street is to, taking away inefficiencies. So I think it's a misconception that everyone is a jerk on Wall Street. It's not true.
So essentially, not all the stereotypes in the movies are true.
Correct.
Got it.
And for the most part, in all industries, that's the case.
Have there been any changes in the industry over the years?
Yeah, I mean, specifically the bond market, what I deal with, it used to be, it's the largest market in the United States, the largest market in the world. I think it's becoming so much more efficient. The difference between what you buy something at and what you sell something at, commonly referred to as the bid offer, is what typically investment banks or broker-dealers make their money on. That difference has become smaller and smaller over time. What's increased over time is the volume at which different types of securities trade. So there's more volume and less what they call bid offer or money for every transaction that you make. But, Wall Street's constantly evolving and changing. So if it's not changing, then...
And especially we were talking about earlier, technology. Technology is definitely a change to the industry.
Technology's changed it in a huge way.
So what is the best path for someone to take if they are interested in pursuing a career like yours?
I think the most important thing is to read as much as possible. I think immersing yourself in books, just learning, just trying to figure out new and different things. Following the news is important. The markets are affected by the news. Caring about the markets, caring about the news, I think it's the first step. As it relates to college, I think that understanding things on your own is important. I think certainly a degree in finance is important. An MBA is important. I did not get an MBA. I kind of did something a little bit different, somewhat of a back channel, but I think the MBA gives you an added advantage over other people who don't have that. And there's certainly, if you want to go into Wall Street, there's certainly what they call training programs at large investment banks. It's incredibly competitive, typically led by Ivy League schools going on down. So it's hard to get in those training programs.
What would you say, how important is it to go to a top college to, become an investment banker? Or would you say it's not important?
If you want to become an investment banker, I think it's important. Typically, investment bankers come from top colleges. Students who go to top colleges are typically, number one, they're intelligent, which is important. Number two, they're disciplined, which is probably more important.
For sure, yeah.
Disciplined is key, right? Constantly developing. But also, I think, pushing yourself into areas that you're not comfortable with is important. Self-development is key. Evolving over time is also key. But as it relates to top college, it's important. I think going to a top college is key. It's not vital. There's other ways in. I think internships are big. If you're able to do something in the summertime and asking somebody for a job to show that you have interest, unpaid internships show that you care and you want to learn more. I think asking questions are hugely important. Finding somebody within the field to ask questions about is hugely important. So I think those help.
What is the average yearly earning potential of someone in this career?
It depends, obviously, where you are. In terms of someone who's like a senior person within that industry or someone who is out of school. But it depends what part you're talking about. It can range from a number of different areas.
So let's talk about these seniors at these big firms. What would you say those top earning potentials?
Millions of dollars a year at top Wall Street firms. That's where it could potentially go.
And then for a student just coming out of school, how much do you think they could be making?
If you're going to be, typically a lot of the students who go to an investment banking program from a top Wall Street firm is going to be in New York. It could be $150,000 a year as a starting number to even higher than that.
Out of college, do you think that you need to go to New York to become successful in this career?
I think things have changed somewhat as it relates to Wall Street is in New York, right? The actual term Wall Street, the physical location that's in New York. I think it's what they call the center of the universe. I think it helps a lot. It's hard not to. It's hard to start a satellite office of another place. But yeah, I think it's actually key. It's a good place to learn. It's incredible. There's a lot of other people doing the same thing, and you definitely meet others one job might lead to another job somewhere else. It really is a gradual ladder, and it typically can stem into place.
But New York is a great place to get experience for sure. What college did you actually go to?
I went to American University in D.C.
Oh yeah, you talked
My
about that.
original, I wanted to go there for international relations, and then when I got there, I realized that business is what I wanted to do, and I focused on international business. It was a great place to be. And back to the point of internships, going to school in D.C. was great because in the summers, which I would spend there, I had some jobs at internships at a number of places. I interned at the International Trade Administration, which was a very interesting place to be. That was a great learning experience. That was my first internship. I also internshiped at a brokerage firm that was there at the time, which was also a great learning experience, which was a very, very much a sales-oriented job. So, and a lot of these things you learn what you don't want to do as well, right? And then which aspect you want to go into.
So do you think internships are a key part of becoming successful in this career and just getting that type of experience?
I do, because an internship allows you the flexibility to go in and ask questions. And a lot of times you might be given tasks. Those tasks are important, but the main task is to go in and learn and to ask something, to learn something you didn't know before. And oftentimes you learn about things, like I said, you don't want to do, but you might want to learn. You learn something from an internship where you might want to go in a certain direction. My job at the International Trade Administration, I realized that a lot of these government institutions are high levels of bureaucracy, for better or for worse. And that might not be a place I ever want to work at. But it was interesting. I learned a lot.
Yeah. I know you said you had a degree in finance. What degrees do you think are, I guess, important for people who want to pursue a career in investment banking? Like, is it finance? Is it like accounting? Or do you think any of those type of majors would help?
I think accounting is interesting. Like learning about, financial statements is certainly key. I think no matter what you take, you've got to do well in it. So whatever you decide to do, you give it your all, and you try to get the best grades as possible and learn a lot from it. If you want to go the path of an MBA, I think certainly showing that you've done well academically will help lead to an MBA at a great place. Scores are obviously important as well.
Yeah,
an MBA,
especially nowadays.
Especially now. But an MBA, you can become much more focused in what you want to do. Obviously, place you want to go to, but within that place, what did you actually want to study? Within an MBA, what focus you want to have.
And finally, what advice would you have for young adults who want to pursue a career as an investment banker?
Don't be scared to make mistakes, especially when you're young. Trying new things is the most important thing. And showing somebody, if the goal is to get a job at an investment bank, I think showing somebody that you're not scared to try new things and have a story behind it, I think says a lot about that individual and that character. So don't be scared to try new things.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much for coming and volunteering your time in support of Career Road. And hopefully we can spread the message nationwide and get free career advice for young adults all across the nation. Thank you so much.
My pleasure.